suckers for another Boba Joe show.
How's it going, everybody? What's going on? Hey, Randy.
There he is. Take his hat off. There's his face. He's very happy. He's puffing it and he's puffing and happy man.
Yeah, he's all puffoed out there.
Yeah.
He's peacocking.
It's the ultimate macho man. The macho madness. Yeah.
I'm not even going to attempt to blow my voice box out doing a Macho Man impression at this time of the morning.
Oh, yeah. I love that when you try and do some kind of voice impression in your own head, your skull is a resonance chamber, and it sounds very different to you than it sounds to anyone who's outside of your own skull out there in the world or a microphone. So when you go, oh, yeah, you think it sounds cool, but honestly, it just sounds crap.
That's the scientific explanation, folks. Now you know. Now you know why your voice impersonation.
Now you know why your voice impressions suck. But what are we talking about this week, man? We're on a Mania Madness month.
Yes, we've been marching through Mania here in March. I believe last week we did our review of number 7. So
Indeed,
today we are
did.
number 8. Number 8, and ain't it great? What do you think, Sarge? Maggots.
Oh, you're maggots. That's right, you're maggots. I can't.
Here we are. Mania 8.
Whenever I see Sarge now.
We're doing a big rebound because last week was a bit depressing. I think we can both agree. It was a tough slog.
It wasn't the best Mania. And I've got some bad news, people, coming up next month. We're doing Mania 8 this week. Take a break, do some movies, come back, do Mania 9 and a bit. Mania 9 is not great. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
I will tell you, I rewatched it this week in full because I got to the end of 8 and I'm like, what'll I watch now? I'm like, well, I guess I'll watch Mania 9 again from, I watched it 6 months ago. My favorite thing about Mania 9 is actually the commentary. The thing that saves it from being complete trash. You got Macho, Bobby Heenan, and Jim Ross all working together and riffing together and telling jokes and nonsense. That's the thing to me that makes it watchable.
Yeah, the commentary is the highlight of the show.
Yeah.
Oh, and look, it's I'm not going to beat around the bush. It's a pretty terrible show, but I still actually enjoy watching it. Yeah, it's pretty entertaining.
And not spoiler alert, because we will talk about it in a couple of weeks, whatever. But probably my favorite gag is right at the start where Macho comes out on a big platform pedestal with a whole bunch of sexy babes. And then after that, Bobby Heenan comes out on a camel sitting backwards. And it's like, what's happening, Bobby Heenan's like, well, I was supposed to be on that platform relaxing with the greatest room and stuff, but Macho was on the that gag really gets me. I just bust up laughing, even rewatching it. That was really good.
Yeah, it's a great visual, and he tries to get off the camel and he falls on his horse.
He falls over, and then Macho lifts up his Roman toga or whatever and shows off his underwear. But yeah, we're gonna get into some. We're gonna get into some Mania 8 topics, but before we do, we're gonna do a quick word from our sponsor of WrestleMania 8 and the Boba Joe Show.
Let me tell you something, Mean Gene. All the little puka maniacs and ultimate weirdos out there better tune in to this week's Boba Joe Show. It's all about WrestleMania 8, which is a metric fuck ton better than Mania 7. And that's the bottom line because Sam Jackson said so.
That's the truth, man.
Yeah. Look, if it comes from Sam L, that's good enough for me.
Oh, I don't just trust him.
Well, the man is he's talking straight facts. Like, there's no doubt that WrestleMania 8 is a metric fuck ton better than WrestleMania 7. Like, WrestleMania 7, like, don't get me wrong, it definitely had its moments. We did have fun. talking about it, but it was a pretty tough slog to get through, and even on the rewatch, sometimes it's not always the most easily digestible show. Even with Warriors shakes and gyrations, it doesn't make it any easier.
Just on a serious note, if you have epilepsy, like Warrior, please take your medication. It's not worth the risk.
You got to keep that energy under control.
Yes, you do.
Well, look, we won't totally trash Mania 7. We did get the awesome Macho versus Warrior match, so it's not like it was a complete dud of a show, you know. But what we're about to watch
it's worth watching. But
show.
yeah. But it's certainly not. It's not up in the highlights of the best, but it's still entertaining. It's entertaining at the very least.
Yes.
But yeah, we got some cool guys.
By virtue of the fact that it's as old as it is, it just makes it better.
Yeah. It's funny. I can go back and watch like dodgy 80s bad, I don't know, like kung fu movies and ninja movies and shit. And I'm like, then they make something like that now, and it's like just really bad, like awful. But the movies that were called B and C and even Z grade movies from the 80s are sometimes better than some of the awful rubbish that Hollywood puts out now.
I agree wholeheartedly.
But yeah, this show is pretty special, man. We got old Sid versus Hogan. We got Flair versus Macho. Strangely, not the main event, and neither is Hogan or Flair the main event, despite they had wrestled each other for quite a few months in this year leading up to this, so it was a bit weird. But we got old Bobby Heenan, we got Jimmy Hart, of course we got Boba Hicks there hanging out in the old commentary team.
Yeah, falling asleep at the commentary desk there.
Yeah, he's falling asleep.
Yeah, I'm falling asleep during the 8-man tag.
Well, you've been up probably 24 hours by that point.
Love this promotional material here. A double main event.
The double main event. You know what the weirdest thing is that the Macho Flair. I mean, Flair technically has the championship at this point, but he's kind of on the way out because he was only in for a year and a half, but under 2 years when he got away from old Jim Crockett in WCW. I almost said Jim Chocolate then. Jim Crockett in WCW. And then went back to WCW where he got kind of fucked over again for the 10th or 11th time. But I love the match with Macho and Flair in this, man. And the lead up here, man. Macho, oh yeah. Love that outfit, man. The fluoro green and the pants and the tassels and everything. So good.
Fantastic look for the Macho Man.
Yeah,
it's look, I'm probably on your side. It probably, even though they market these matches as a double main event, but I do feel in my heart that the Savage versus Flair match for the belt should have been the last match, the actual main event of the show.
I agree. And the weird thing is that the Sid and Hogan, there's not even a belt or anything. It's just like, well, it's Hogan, so it's got to be the main event. It doesn't really make him a whole bunch of sense because at this point, he's been in WWF and out in Hollywood and back in and back in and back out before he fucks off WCW and NWO and all that stuff. It's right before that sort of business. But it's just strange. They don't even have a belt or anything in the main event. I'm like, well, why didn't they reverse these matches? Make Sid and Hogan the mid card and make Savage Ric Flair the main draw and title match, or why didn't they do fucking Ric Flair Hogan? Because they've done months of matches leading up to this, that many of which were untaped or house shows and whatnot, as highlighted in the Ric Flair biography book I reading over recent months.
Yeah, it's something that a lot of people will often wonder about, like why did they not do Hogan versus Flair on WrestleMania?
Yeah, because they had all the way back in way back in 88, 89 in wrestling like magazines, as in print magazines, before any of this digital media nonsense. People were like, what the ultimate, supercard match would be Hogan and Flair from NWA versus WWF, and it's, I don't know, it's like seeing Incredible Hulk versus Superman. It's like just this dream match. Like, it probably won't happen, but it could, and wouldn't it be awesome? And like, but then it did, but it didn't.
Yeah. And, you know, it's one of those things, it's like a typical WWF and Vince McMahon self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like
Oh yeah,
he doesn't trust this. The idea of Hogan versus Flair by itself would be enough to draw a lot of money in a pay-per-view crowd. So instead, what he does is put the match out in front of random audiences on random shows that aren't
yeah,
advertised, or, you know, they like, I think like a good few of the Flair versus Hogan matches in WWF happened at TV tapings where the matches weren't even taped. They just sent them out in the
yeah.
middle of
That's
a
it.
TV show in the middle of the show. They'll have their big Hogan versus Flair match, and if you happen to be one of the like 5,000 people there that night, you got to see it. But
Yeah,
otherwise, it never
that's
happened.
exactly what it highlighted in the book I read. I forget the name of the author. It's behind me, so I'm going to.
He reaches to the bookshelf. We need citations here on the Boba Joe show, so we have to know where our information is
Citations.
coming from.
Citations. Take that for a second. So
Citation needed.
yeah, this is the book which I mentioned when I started reading it, which was back around December last year. The Last Real Champion: The Legacy of Nature Boy Ric Flair, and who's the author? Tim Hornbaker, as highlighted a bunch of times on the Jim Cornette podcast. He's done 3 or 4 books that I've picked up that are all just like super well researched history of wrestling and NWA and this and that. And he's done a bunch. Like Death of the Territories is another one he did. Awesome, like color photos right in the middle of his like best of his career, and versus like fucking Steamboat and tag teams with Dusty Rhodes in the 70s. Like, awesome book that I happened to find on Amazon, and I pre-ordered it 6 months before it came out because it was right at the time I was starting to pick up all the wrestler biographies. Now I'm 100 pages into Eighth Wonder of the World, the Andre the Giant biography, which they all say was the basis for that documentary that did a couple of years back, and that's a brilliant book as well.
Yeah, I'd say it's a great read. I'd imagine the Andre one, he had quite the life story even before he got to the
Yeah,
wrestling
Giant
side of things.
Rusimov.
Giant Rusimov. But look at these fancy graphics we've got going on here for WrestleMania 8. This is some really impressive stuff we're seeing here compared to previous years, even though we always talk about how the production improves year to year. But this is like, once again, they've made another like quantum leap in terms of how they're producing this stuff.
They really have. And you might think we're overselling it. Well, John's like, why are you over there, John, like fucking filleting the production crew? I'm like, well, because they did an amazing fucking job. Well, they don't get credited enough.
And part of the appeal of rewatching these old shows sometimes is actually to see how colorful and well lit and just how nice everything looks. Like, it's just so vibrant, you know. It looks
There's none
brilliant.
of your Starcade 1 lens flares here, except for the ones that are on purpose for drama.
Yeah, nobody's mic is going to be like, you know, randomly cutting out mid promo and, you know,
all that sort of stuff.
We even get these kind of like this is so 90s. Even like all the font they're using for like the Ric Flair, Macho Man, Sid Justice, Hulk Hogan, like it's very, I don't know, it's like Hang Time or something. It's so 90s.
I love in I think it was Starcade 1 or 2, but where Dusty Rhodes is cutting this amazing promo in the audience, and he's just going, and the sound is completely cut out, and then he has to, like 10 minutes later, they get him into a different part of the studio, and he kind of basically repeats the promo. But there's none of that shit going on. Everything on a technical level is working like absolute clockwork.
We're here in the Hoosier Dome, Indianapolis, Indiana, and
There's Gene
more
Hackman
impressive
there. If they've got some Hoosiers going, I assume Gene Hackman must be there.
Yeah, there's a disaster waiting to happen. Hackman's going to save everybody. But look, compared to last Mania, like the last Mania was in the LA arena with like maybe 14, 15,000 people. Now we're back at a dome show. They've taken about like 60 something thousand people, even though I think like about a third of those people got in for free just so they could fill it up for TV. But it looks good. It looks really good.
It does indeed. And it is kind of a smaller audience to this one compared to some of the other previous ones, but it's still pretty big audience overall.
Oh yeah, like it looks impressive. And like it's a proper dome show. Like we could be looking, I suppose we are kind of looking at the last big mania of the golden age here. It's really, everything's about to kind of start. It's already been kind of on the decline, but we're about to start the real descent into, you know what hitting the fan over the next year, especially as the steroid trial and things like that begin to unfold. The company just kind of goes into crisis mode, and a lot of people, we're not going to see a lot of people we see on this year's Mania. We're not going to be seeing on the following year's Mania because half of them quit, the other half get fired. It's just a real bloodbath of people exiting the company at this point in time.
Indeed. Yeah, it's one of those, we're really bumping up against the transitional era when we're going to get the youth movement and the new stars and the young talent. And, Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart going off to single status. Both of them kind of got fucked over by Vince one way or another down the track. And then behind the scenes, of course, we had the steroid trials and the infamous thing about Hulk Hogan in the court about, I never took steroids when he was on all the late night talk shows, but then they brought him from depositions and whatever. But yeah, I don't know. It's a very interesting time as far as transitory stuff going on in wrestling. And you've still got several years till we get to the Attitude Era, and before we get to Monday Nitro. It's a real grey, weird area, both on camera and behind the scenes.
Yes, it's this kind of pivotal kind of era, kind of transitional moment where we're about to enter this like multi-year run of really what's kind of almost like the dark ages for a while, because the company just keeps on like shrinking in size.
Real downturn in sales. Who was turning up, but the guys with mustaches and glasses, man, they were turning up for Mania in droves.
Yeah,
they were all there.
Look at these three fanny magnets here that we've got a picture of. These guys, like every lady in the dome was dying to get a piece of these guys after the show.
Yeah. They were going, look at this guy, the hat and the shirt, and it's like, you guys are like just 4 clones of each other with glasses and hats and mustaches. You ain't no Magnum mustache. You're just like a vanilla mustache guy we walk past on our way into work.
That sign is classic as well.
I love some of these signs. Like it's also before we get to the mid to late 90s era where just every fucking audience has a sign and is jumping around like a maniac. And they really slow down and pause on some of the signs and actually zoom in and show you them. And it's fun to see. They're real bargain basement stuff, but it's fun just to see what kind of signs and stuff people came up with before it became just a sea of nerds and signs and stuff.
Yes, and it's signs that are kind of enhancing what you're already seeing on screen, which I think is why they actually focus on them. It's like because they're the what's on the signage is relating to the characters, and it's usually
it's not some weird ECW reference or anything like that.
Yeah, it's not like advertising your own Twitter account or email address to try and promote a fucking podcast or something.
No.
But yeah, we've got kicking off here. A nice opener between Shawn Michaels, who is accompanied by the ever brilliant and fantastic, sensational Sherry, and he's going up against El Matador, Tito Santana, Tony Montana's best friend, Tito Santana.
Yeah, Tito Santana.
But yeah, I love this version of Shawn Michaels. He's split from Marty Jannetty. The Rockers are no more.
He threw through that barbershop window, the beefcake window, man.
Did he throw him through the window, Johnny, or was Marty Jannetty a coward and he actually jumped through the window to escape from Shawn Michaels?
Oh, it's a bit of both, I think. Marty Jannetty, not the most handsome guy in the world. He does have a podcast on YouTube. You want to check it out. He's very low numbers, but have a look. Yeah, he did kind of throw himself through the old sugar glass window there.
A great angle, and you know, it really helped set Michaels up as this new singles heel on the scene.
Yeah,
and
it's very notable for being like this is the singles launch of Michaels.
But Sherry here at this point is an essential part of the package. She's like, it's actually probably fair to say in this particular year at this time, Sherry is like actually a bigger star than Shawn Michaels, because she's already been like a kind of top tier manager. Like, we've seen her with DiBiase, we've seen her with Macho Man. She's established as somebody who is managing the big leaguers. So to put her with Michaels, it's a pretty big deal for him to be getting a manager of this star power. It suits the gimmick of Shawn Michaels perfectly. Like, Sherry sings the song to his entrance team. It sounds great. And it makes a lot more sense because the song is about her singing about her boy toy. Like, it's her, you know, just totally gushing over Shawn Michaels as the lyrics. And it suits that character perfectly. But then, of course, you know, later on when they split it, he starts singing his own entrance music. I just never thought it was as good as the Sherry version.
Yeah, I like the Sherry version better for sure. It definitely shows he's getting a push as a single star. Sherry's there in his corner, and you know she's not just a manager or ringer or whatever. She often gets involved in matches or does little pull the leg out and help you get the pin at the last moment while the referee's got his back turned, sort of thing. There's always shenanigans, and there's an interesting kind of sequel to this in WrestleMania 9 we'll get to down the track, where Michaels comes out again at the beginning of Mania number 9 with Luna Vachon, but then and Sherry's nowhere to be seen, but then she runs out during the match and starts interfering and doing other stuff. And so, you know, she's definitely a key part of the Michaels singles launch.
Oh yeah, she really is. And look, she looks great. She's great at doing actual physical in-ring stuff. Like, she can bump, you know, she can talk, she can do it all. Like,
very good bumps.
Oh, she does. And this is a really nice match to kick off the show as well. You know, Tito is still in good fit condition. He's able to keep up the pace with young Shawn here, and they managed to have like a really nice athletic match and a nice little win here for Shawn to, you know, get his singles career on the go and continue on his quest up the card.
Apologies, I was just uploading something, so I popped up for a second.
Ooh.
That was an ad block for later. It said the file size is too big to actually upload, so it's gone on to present. So that's what popped up for a moment, which I didn't want it to do. But there it is.
Oh, we will forgive you for these technical difficulties.
Oh yeah, I didn't know I was going to do that whatsoever. I was just chucking it in for later on. But yeah, dead man walking.
Dead man walking. What a shot. I love this version of The Undertaker. Love this whole look for The Undertaker.
Oh yeah.
Just perfect.
Rest in peace.
His natural ginger locks are starting to get a bit darker, you know.
Yeah. You've got ginger locks, of course, being from Ireland. I have a little. You can't see them as light, but in the sunlight, my dad is actually a. What do they call it? In Australia, you call it a ranger, which means a redhead. He's actually got. My dad actually has ginger curly hair, and I look just like him, except I've got straight hair. But my beard, when it grows in, I get dark natural brown, which looks black because it's dark here. But in the sunlight, 50% of it is actually ginger.
Yeah, you got some in your blood, definitely.
Oh yeah, it's not in the hair of my head. It's only comes out in the beard. So it's, you know, I've got bloody Irish and Scottish and Danish and whatnot, all of my ancestry and that, and the old cold climates.
Healthy mix.
Healthy mix.
Yeah, so we got a little treat here with the Undertaker with Paul Bearer going up against Jake the Snake Roberts, and of course we
Yeah, they
got to
do a
see
good
the
job of
recap here.
recapping what's happened in the lead up to this match. I love seeing Jake doing the DDT, the full bearer, and then he's trapped Undertaker in his own coffin, his hands trapped in there, and he smacks him with the chair, and he's like, "It's not always the biggest man or the strongest man, but the smartest man." Like, you know.
Another great Jake promo. Love Jake's outfit here as well, his ring
He's got
attire.
the sexy lady being bitten by a big python, and she's like bleeding. Like, it's very Hammer horror stuff
Yeah.
on his leg there.
Yeah, he's awesome. And this match will mark the last time we see Jake for a while. He's not going to appear
Yeah,
on a Mania again
he's
till
still
like
looking in good shape
1996.
there.
He is. He is. He he loses pretty quick here to Undertaker, but
Yeah,
from what's said at the time apparently is he was leaving the company. He was already on his way out. He'd already gotten a big payout from Vince McMahon, so he was literally being sent out, do the job for Undertaker. So the match, it's a pretty good match for what we get, but it really doesn't
yeah.
last as long as you would kind of
It kind
expected.
of it's just long enough not to be a squash match, but the storyline and lead up to it is just fucking awesome, and it's weird to think Undertaker was obviously on the rise, and in this era, Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels are being pushed as the big guys who would both go on to be champions of the company. But Undertaker would eclipse both of them as we head towards the end of the decade of the 90s. And it's funny to see Undertaker in the second match in a Mania, because later on he'd be mid card or be the lead in, future Manias and whatnot. But this is still a really fun match. And it's still, he's doing all the mannerisms. We get the intro, we get the hat, we get him stumbling about like a kind of zombie with the pancake white makeup on his face. And Jake does awesome to like sell, or to sell the no sell, when Undertaker just like he slaps him and he hits him and he DDTs him, and Undertaker just keeps shambling on like a zombie coming at him. So it's still really great fun, despite being a kind of lesser match overall in Mania 8.
Yeah, I agree. And look, we got to see that epic tombstone on the outside.
Yeah,
Jake as
he
well, which
gets to
was
that
pretty
really
cool.
early in the match too. He just like dunks him down there.
Yeah, no, and like you said, it's just long enough to not be like a total squash. They really establish, and they've been doing a great job of this throughout the whole year previously, of just establishing Undertaker as this unstoppable, unfeeling creature. Just does not feel pain.
Yes,
He's like
yes.
a Terminator sometimes, just coming at you
Yeah,
over.
he's like the Terminator where he stumbles about.
But yeah, a nice wee match, and we'll miss you, Jake. This is probably really the end of your peak run, to be fair. Like
Yeah,
he'll get a
it's
short wee
true.
run now in WCW, but by the time he comes back to the Federation, he's been going through a lot of real life turmoil and drug abuse and alcohol abuse and
Yeah,
all sorts of other stuff.
it's fairly sad behind the scenes. And for anyone who hasn't watched it, I really encourage you to watch the DDP produced documentary about the resurrection of Jake the Snake. Because like a lot of stars of this area, Scott Hall among them, he got really lost and estranged from his family as far as drug abuse and other things, and not looking after his body. I mean, the movie, The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke, it's pretty much the fucking Jake the Snake story in real life, with minor details changed. It's great film worth a watch. It speaks to a lot of actual real life wrestlers being on the road, estranged from their families, drugs, alcohol, other abuse. But I don't know, Jake the Snake more than others speaks to me as a guy who is just fantastic talent, great psychology, good ring ability, and just fucking horrible how he got lost into the abyss, the hell, the demons of drugs and other shit. And, you know, he full on tells you about it in the DDP documentary and other stuff. Worth a look. And, but yeah, as you said, it's like the peak or end of his era where he's on top, still in good condition, still doing good matches. He does little appearances later on in WCW, WWF. Probably the most one we remember the most will be like King of the Ring, where he helps put over Austin and talks about how he's become a Bible thumper and all this, which was meant to be genuine, but turned out to be a load of shit. And help put over Austin, where Austin does his like Austin 316 says, I just whooped your ass. Like, so that was probably his most significant one later on in the 90s, other than when he eventually gets to that documentary. But fantastic talent. Check out that documentary and enjoy his classic matches.
We will get to see him again. Maybe we might even review his WCW pay-per-view match against Sting someday.
Might as well. We might as well.
Get there.
But,
yeah, nice little match. And once again, the Undertaker's streak is not a thing yet. It's just he happens to have won 2 matches in a row.
But this would be like what, number 2 or whatever, when they retroactively talk about that.
Yeah, but there's it's just Undertaker being booked strong and you know, winning and looking powerful in the process. There's not even any germ of a thought about any type of undefeated streak or anything like that.
No. Well, this is zombie Undertaker. He's kind of mindless and shambles towards you and just messes with your day. Before we go on to the next match, we're going to take a little ad break for a couple of minutes. We'll see a man about a horse, Motu Jones' style, and we will come back.
It will begin in the city.
I'm gonna get it back.
It will take you halfway across our vast continent.
Alice Springs.
And it will end
Hold it.
on the loneliest road in the outback.
Where's the nearest town, Joker?
300 miles. Desperate men, lonely people, thrown together in a hijack to hell.
This place is nowhere.
John Waters stars in the 2-part thriller Alice to Nowhere, beginning 8:30 Monday on 10.
Look what we've done to our prices at Freedom. This sofa was just $649, but now it's only $649. This Freedom table was a mere $199. Now it's a paltry $199. This bookcase was a trifling $63 and still is. And can we get this Freedom lamp lower than a silly $19.95? No, it's still $19.95. And these cushions, Freedom. With prices like ours, who needs a sale?
The awards, the accolades, the worldwide television phenomenon. Australia's most applauded series is back for a new decade. Neighbours returns Monday on 10.
I've never been so scared in my entire life.
What's the matter? You see the vacuum?
Monday, there's a mouse in the house.
Kill it, Al.
Well, don't worry. As soon as it sees how we live, it'll go away.
And it's Al to the rescue.
Don't we like that mouse?
Oh, yeah. He's the coolest.
He's the deadest.
Take a look at the funny side of marriage.
Oh, hold me.
Oh, why?
Married with Children, Monday at 8 after the Wonder Years.
Working up a healthy thirst. Got my mind on something cold. Want the taste that will be a change. I'll have another song go. I'll have another. Working up a healthy thirst. I'll have another song go.
Lucky last. If you can call being a sheep lucky. Must be your turn, I reckon. Getting too long in the tooth to start playing mountain goat, boy. Tell you what, get this one and you can have the last can of spades. You can call me old, boy. can't call me stupid.
Good on you, mate.
Straight. Pride of the South for over 100 years.
You call me stupid, but you can't call me old. Good on you, mate. That was a New Zealand ad. The rest of them were Australian, but that one of the interspace ones was a New Zealand ad. I see a lot of the time when I was a kid.
It's like weird desire to go and like work out and then drink a load of Gold Swan beer.
Oh yeah, the old Highlanders, out countrymen, ploughmen, which probably didn't have enough time to be going to the shops to buy booze. To be honest, taking it all the way out there and herding sheep. Too busy actually fucking working for a living.
Look at this.
Hot rod.
LJN. Big figure. I'm guessing it is a little like kid who's holding it up, which is why it looks so big, but it looks pretty big compared to that sign that the lady's holding up.
Oh yeah. I just assume it's the LGN because it looks like one of those rubber ones that doesn't move. But then the kilt kind of throws me off because it looks like soft goods. I don't know if they made their own kilt for it.
Yeah, my knowledge of the LJNs is pretty limited. You'd probably have to ask like Ken from Toy Connections or somebody like that who has a bit of knowledge on the topic.
I didn't remember what I saw in like the schoolyard when people used to bring them to school and smash them around, or mate's house after school. I never owned any of them, but I saw a bunch of them as a kid.
They are awesome looking figures. They look really cool, and when you see them in good condition without all their paint rubbed off and stuff, like they look excellent.
Yeah, they're very nice. Very nice. Like I know one of my old mates, Chris back in Christchurch. He's picked up a couple second hand, and he's a hobbyist artist guy and model maker / painter. So if he picks one up, he can repaint it, no trouble. Goodbye, Roddy.
Goodbye, Roddy. We're Roddy. Will we be saying goodbye to Roddy tonight?
Where's he going? He's semi-retiring.
Again.
Again? Possibly because Vince was pushing him out big time.
I hope it's been established by now that anybody who really isn't like a full-time wrestling fan, hopefully if you have been watching these shows, you've established by now that retirements in wrestling mean absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Like
also,
until somebody either dies or gets crippled, or like they never retire.
And if you get really big and really popular in the 80s, and chances are Vince McMahon is going to say, sorry, you've got to go because this guy's our guy.
Yeah. There can be
you're
only
going to get
one
pushed out one or another.
But here
you're having a Macho Man, having a Piper, and it's like, oh, you've got to retire. I'm like, well, but I wanted to keep wrestling and do so. Like, well, you've got to retire. Good for business.
Oh, well, you got to put these old nags down. You know, they're just too old now to get the job done. And who could possibly outdraw Hulk Hogan? You know.
And then Macho goes on to like nearly a decade of like pretty damn good matches on WCW and DDP and NWO and all that.
Yeah.
As well as keeping a Slim Jim contract.
Oh yeah, paid for his contract with that Slim Jim money.
Oh yeah.
A great,
wish I could get
great
some Slim
score.
Jim money, man. That'd be good. I wouldn't complain.
We need to talk to the network about the sponsors. Our current sponsors are very low yield when it comes to the type of
we got Scooby Snacks. We've got them going on, but I want to get some Slim Jim.
We need a line of crypto and NFT stuff. I think that will just put us right
4D, NFT, 3D, all the way.
Yeah, look, we'll discuss this with the board later on. In the meantime, though, we have got an absolute classic, a banger, as the young kids would say these days, of a match. An absolute classic bout here between Roddy Piper, who is defending his first and only Intercontinental Championship against the
I know you since you was this small.
This small, yeah. Great promo. Great promo before the match where he's winding up Brett. It's Really, things get quite heated towards the end, just as they're both about to go out through the
She was
curtain.
in diapers and everything.
Didn't stop using those diapers till he was 7 years old.
Yeah. I love this promo so much. One of my all-time favorites. And reading that Bret Hart book last year and seeing the kind of camaraderie and love between Bret Hart and Piper and that, they really riff on it, play on it so well in their promos.
Oh yeah, and it's just a great match between two guys with very different styles. You got like Piper the brawler going up against the technician Bret Hart. But even with that being said about Piper being a brawler, this has to be his most technically proficient match he's ever participated in. He's on
more
fire.
technical in his match than most of his general matches.
That just goes to show you with Piper, you know, you can be versatile enough where you can just change things up to give whoever you're with a good match.
Brawl him, box him. He can do it all.
Do it all.
That's right, fool. What you talking
about? And you can
Piper?
act in movies.
Oh yeah, and he can act in
movies.
An
actual good actor.
Headhunted by John Carpenter to be in the old movie we covered a few months back.
This is, look, we're not going to obviously give you a blow-by-blow account of this match, but needless to say, it is very dramatic. There's tons of great high spots. There's a very memorable kind of infamous blade job by Bret Hart, where Piper gets a sneaky punch in and Bret gets a nice little gash over his eye. It really adds to the drama of the match, and we get a great moment where Piper he's thinking about defaulting to his old heelish ways. He's standing over Brad. He's got the ring bell. It's like, will I hit him? Won't I hit him? And the audience is like, boo, boo, don't hit him.
He's like, I'm a heel, I'm a bad guy, but also you're a dude I used since we were young and kind of extended part of your family. And what will I do? And the drama, it's great.
Great. And, you know, he decides to do the right thing. He doesn't cheat.
Yeah, it makes him a better match by not smacking him with the ring bell.
Yes. And
which usually I love, fuck yeah, get him with a ring bell. But this match, I'm like, no, don't get him with the ring bell.
I love the finish. I love how he's got Bret in the sleeper hold and Bret kicks back off the turnbuckle. They both go back, but his shoulders are pinned. Such a good, clever way to end the match, and it would be a finish he'd reuse later on in other matches with Bret. He was obviously fond of that particular spot, but what an excellent match, and it's such a career defining moment, I think, for Bret Hart as well, because he'd been a single for a while. He had been the Intercontinental Champion, but now he's beating like a former headliner, a former WrestleMania headliner. Like, it's a big deal. Like, Roddy Piper in this era is still a massive star. So for Bret Hart to be beating him in a competitive match is a massive deal at the time.
Yeah, it's a wicked match, man. Like, I mean, I put it up up there with ones like it's one of is it Mania 2 no 3? Macho and Steamboat put up there, where it's very sort of choreographed in a sense, but it feels very dynamic and exciting to watch, because you've got guys that have practiced and rolled around and just fucked about when they're not on the camera, rolled around in, you know, I don't know, Stu's dungeon or wherever, fucked about in enough matches where they can really just trust each other in the ring. And also Bret Hart and Bulldog at SummerSlam in the UK, which, if you haven't looked it up, there's a documentary. It's gone up just in the last 4 days on the Bulldog on his own official channel on YouTube. It's about 45 minutes. Really good. It's got Bret Hart in there. It's got his wife. It's got all the family and Hart family associates and whatnot. Awesome documentary I watched the other night. Reminds me of that too. You got two guys that love each other and trust each other in the ring. You're not going to get any Seth Rollins versus Sting fuck up your spine or anything like that shit going on. You've got a good match, good drama, good moves. And I love that at the end when they walk out, and like Piper just like he's like another brother to him and puts his arm around him, and you know, he's in all the promo where he's like, I knows you, and they're smacking each other out for fun. Wicked match. But when he walks out like brothers in arms style at the end, that's just, it almost brings you a tear to your eye, and that sort of a bit of a bromance style going on there.
Such a great moment. It's a great moment, and apparently they were able to avoid being fined for doing the blood, because at this time
Because they
it
were
was
very
actually
clever
against
with
the
the
rules.
blading.
Very clever with the blading, and they even went
You
as
could
far
have
as
hit it really well.
they had Piper actually went up to Brett after the match in front of Vince and was like, "Oh man, I didn't mean to hit you that
Oh yeah,
hard, accidentally bust you open. You know, it was such an accident." You
yeah.
know,
And probably the one that kind of correlates to this one is around 96, 97, where, I mean, here Piper is putting over Brett, but later on, Bret Hart infamously put over Steve Austin. Similar deal again, blading where Austin like bled out, sharpshooter, didn't tap, like kind of like fake passed out, like, oh, I'm not giving up, I'm such a tough Texan hard ass. Kind of mirrors this match in a number of ways, because again, blading was not kosher, not the thing to be done, but they pulled it off in a way where you couldn't see it on camera and no one could tell shit sideways from a goose as far as what they did or didn't do.
will not be the case later on when we see another blade jaw.
Oh yeah.
where very little effort is made to hide the fact of what's going on.
Very little.
We'll get
very little effort.
Oh, we've got the big tag match coming up here.
So
I forgot about the we got to see Lex Luger interviewed. I forgot about that. He's been interviewed, because at the moment
but they're all
part
close up of his pecs and everything, and you can tell it's tying in with the Raw weekly shows where he came out with all the mirrors. Mania 9, there's a whole bunch of bikini bimbo babies who come out and hold mirrors around him, and they're really playing up that he's the narcissist Lex Luger, and he's always got the mirrors and he's showing off himself, and he's just this big bodybuilder, pumped up dude.
Yeah, we've got the big 8-man tag. Actually, before we get into this match, I have to submit a correction that for a faux pas I made last week. I guess I was tired and I didn't really understand what you're saying, but you had mentioned
unforgivable, Mark.
You'd kind of mentioned that, like, I think I kind of dismissed what you said because we were talking about Slaughter and General Adnan, and I thought I was getting mixed up between General Adnan and Colonel Mustafa. It was Colonel Mustafa was the other guy, because you were asking me about Iron Sheik and the other character he played, but I said the wrong name. Yeah, there you go. You knew who I was talking about though, but I just thought I'd make that correction just in case anybody, not that anybody cares, but it's like, hey, you're actually wrong there, Boba Hex. He was there. His name was Colonel Mustafa, not General Adnan. General Adnan is the other guy.
You suck. Just go away and don't talk about wrestling ever again. I get confused. Yeah, I also watched the British Bulldog documentary this week, and last week I finally watched the Iron Sheik documentary. It's been out a few years. Really good, worth watching. I didn't know how fucking dark it was going to go with all the drugs and shit. It was like watching a Kevin Smith thing talking about Jay Muse and heroin. It was like really full on. Like Iron Sheik gets fucked up. But amazing wrestler through the 70s, 80s. And I was deeply depressed watching that bloody documentary.
He liked the crack, the Iron Sheik. He enjoyed.
Oh yeah. But afterwards, I bought an action figure to celebrate his successes.
Yes, I need a good Iron Sheik action figure, so he can make my Hulk Hogan action figure humble. Yeah,
it's no secret we both love the heels, man. I mean, there's face guys out there I love too, but you know, give me a fucking Austin or an Iron Sheik or Macho Man or whoever. You know, I love my fucking heels.
What a collection of characters we have here. So on one side you got Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Sergeant
It's such a
Slaughter.
random grab bag. You've gone to the fucking show and you stuck your hand in Lucky Dip style, like just like who have we got?
It is. It's like, yeah, let's all these guys. We need to give them something to do on the show. Let's just throw them in a big tag because you got Virgil and the Big Boss Man. They're teaming up with Duggan and Slaughter, and they're going up against Mountie, Repo Man, and the Nasty Boys. So it's
Repo
quite
Man,
the
who was
collection of
formerly in what?
characters.
Demolition or whatever?
Demolition. That's right.
Yes.
But
I
now
get
he's out
confused because
to
I don't
repossess their
recognize
jacket.
him in that outfit.
Yeah, he's funny, Repo Man. Like, obviously the character is totally ridiculous, but I do really
Well,
like
in
his
'93, he
entrance
stole
music.
Macho Man's car. I know that for a fact because Macho Man told us.
Yeah, he stole his car. He stole his ring jacket. I think he might even stolen Macho Man's hat. Actually, no, we should actually
Stole his
correct ourselves,
dignity.
Johnny. We should correct ourselves. He did not steal those items. He repossessed them.
Oh, well, yes, I agree with that. Repossessed. But yeah, speaking of heels and faces, Ric Flair, man, he all through the 70s, 80s, depending on what territory he's in, he would be a heel or a face. Regardless of what he was doing in his home territory, the Carolinas, people loved him to death, and they were 110% accurate.
Oh yeah, one man, and to beat a man, you got to beat the man, which Randy Savage has vowed to do. He's going to beat him from pillar to post because he needs to clear Elizabeth's reputation.
Oh yeah, the girls are lighting up
these guys
around the block. They go to Space Mountain.
Oh yeah, because Mr. Perfect and Ric Flair, they are making some salacious allegations, but they do have
They've got a photo. They've got a document.
That's hard evidence right there, And I'm sure nobody has ever attempted to alter a photograph in the history of mankind ever. So I have no doubt in my mind that whatever photographs they have are 100% genuine and not
Absolutely
doctored in any way.
genuine. Photoshop not exist, and so this is 100% genuine photograph, people.
Yeah, real deal, folks, real deal. But yes, after this this quick little 8-man tag, we get the nice recap and build up for Flair v Savage, and we already were treated to one classic, and we're about to be
we got
on another one.
Piper and Bret Hart, and now we get Flair and Savage, which are easily, for me, my two favorite matches of the Mania 8. I also enjoyed Undertaker Jake. It was a lesser match, whereas this match is gonna kick off into the stratosphere, man. Like, it's running times fairly good. A lot happens. We get a very short tag team. We get some pretty good promos, like 70s style promos from Flair, where he's coming out, Macho Man's running out to the ring, and I assure you, it's not a Solar Flair. It's just Macho Man coming out to the ring. That's his style, man.
Yeah.
Solar Flair might go off when this man comes out to the ring.
Oh, Liz, you naughty girl.
Oh, she's very naughty, hanging out with Ric Flair here.
Oh man, I would have loved Liz to be feeding me strawberries back in 1992.
Oh yeah, weekend away at the Hamptons with Costanza.
And of course, we have the towels, one with an R and one with an L.
Yeah.
Is it Rick and Liz or is it Randy and Liz?
Oh, that's tricky. We got the pool, and they're hanging about. They got some of the old white wine.
You know what's brilliant about this picture is you could take this picture and show it to somebody who knows nothing about wrestling, and it just looks like some type of advertisement in, like, a weekly home magazine or something.
Exactly.
Try our delicious, wine at the country club.
Orson Welles knows his red wines. You watch some of those 70s ads, and it's like, oh, this wine drinks best, and it's very much like that style.
Yeah, what a cracker we're about to get here between Flair and Macho, and as you already alluded to, Macho is like a shining star in this match. Even his outfit alone, like the gold and black, it's an unbelievable look.
If you remember on some of those Starcades, Flair was going for the gold. in this match, Macho's wearing the gold.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, and it's a great match and lots of fun. Just real kind of frantic energy, I should say, the
Yeah,
whole time
I
to just
love
keep
I
going
love at the
and
start of
going.
the match they're still doing the entrances, and Macho just runs up to him and starts strangling him. It's like, ah, you bastard!
Which
You've
is,
been making time with my
anybody would
woman.
do. Yeah, exactly. You've sullied my woman's
So good.
reputation. He's out to to destroy Ric Flair here. He's really on a quest for vengeance here.
And
But the two
I love,
lads just really crack into each other with loads of
oh
stiff
yeah,
clotheslines and chops and
and
just brilliant stuff.
there's a number of matches where Macho, as soon as he gets to the ring, he kind of runs out of the ring or runs away and does all kinds of antics. But here, instead of running away and out of the ring, he just runs towards Flair and just starts just like full on strangling him on the floor with the drama. It's like watching, I don't know, Dynasty or Neighbours or any of the soap opera stuff where it's like, you've been messing with my woman.
Yeah,
So
this is
good.
proper angry Macho Man we're seeing in
Oh
full
yeah.
display here. He is going to take his pound of flesh from Ric Flair no matter what. He's going to get
That's
his
right.
revenge. But it's a brilliant match. Lots of back and forth. We do get the aforementioned juice job from Flair where he does a real number on his forehead. Like, it'd be pretty hard to try and convince anybody afterwards backstage that it was an accidental cut because he just takes it from like one end of his head to the other. Like he bleeds a gusher.
I'll
And
cut
the
you,
two
mate,
men
from ear to ear.
ear to ear. But yeah, him and Macho Man were both fined, unlike Bret Hart and Roddy Piper, who managed to convince Vince McMahon that their blood was accidental.
Yeah.
Flair
Which, as
and
far as I know,
Macho
they
were not
did
so
it
lucky.
outside of the ring on the mat, so I'm not 100% sure.
Yes, yeah. Oh, that's where he did it. But
Because you got the
maybe
barrier in the
even
corner and the crowd that kind of creates a bit of confusion. And
he should have. Well, I'm not saying what he shouldn't have done or shouldn't do because he's obviously a professional wrestler and a massive star. But maybe if he didn't want to get fined, he should have just maybe made a little nick in the side of his head or his cheek or something, just so it wouldn't be
yeah,
so obvious that he'd sliced his whole forehead open with a razor.
not old Abdullah the Butcher style where you just got massive scarring everywhere, or Dusty Rhodes. And some of those dudes, man, you watch them in documentaries, and it's like they've got a fucking roadmap on their forehead.
And with Ric Flair, when he bleeds because of his light blonde hair, the blood just dyes
Oh
his hair
yeah,
red.
crimson
It always
juice.
looks crazy. Oh yeah, it looks absolutely mental. But it does add to the drama of the match and the
And
intrigue.
he's still both of them are still in great fucking shape here too. Like, as far as the endurance and going through the motions, both of them have still got good fucking cardio and good conditioning. Look awesome.
Yeah. Oh, and like this, don't get me wrong, like there's nothing overly, but if you're comparing it to like a modern match, obviously there's nothing like overly complicated or intricate, but
Yeah.
just everything they do is so crisp and perfect and it just looks amazing. Like every time they connect with something, every time they go
I
down, it's
love
just unbelievable.
I love in the first third of the match, there's the bit where Macho kind of flings Flair into one of the corners, and Flair just like so seamlessly, he like flips himself upside down over the turnbuckle, runs along the outside of the ring, climbs up on the opposing turnbuckle, and more Macho Man his back to it, and he just launches himself like through the air, and it's like 3 seconds in real time. It's just like, it's so athletic. It's such an amazing move to watch.
It's awesome. Yeah, classic Flair up and over, the turnbuckle, and then do his run along the apron. It's just, it's so good. And it's great seeing because, obviously, you watch a lot of Ric Flair matches and you watch a lot of Macho Man matches, but it's great seeing those two kind of signature styles clash because they really just bounce off each other so well. Like they've got almost like perfect chemistry in the ring, which is crazy to think that Apparently Vince McMahon like hated a lot of Macho's and Flair's matches, and he even made them go out and
Fucking
reshoot a
idiot.
match one time. Yeah, like
It's
what?
like two of the
How
best
could
of all
these two have a
fucking
bad
time,
match?
man, for doing great matches and great athleticism, and both former semi-pro athletes who went into wrestling with 10 times the fucking charisma or athleticism of a Hogan or whatever.
Yeah, like Vince McMahon, for all the praise he got for being like a creative genius, he really dropped the ball when it came to Ric Flair. Like so bad he dropped the ball. It's unbelievable.
They were just so lucky to get him for that brief period. They had Royal Rumble where Flair's in it for like 1 hour, and that's a record that still stands to this fucking day at Royal Rumble. And then he won it, and then he got to go and be the champion for a little bit, and then obviously it was only a year or two, and then he was back in WCW again. But yeah, they really wasted Flair, man. And it was a fucking honor and privilege that they got to have Flair even for a little bit. And then when he exits, it's just a fucking house match on Raw versus Kurt Hennig.
Yeah, loser leaves Raw, and then he's just gone.
Yeah, loser leaves town match. But it was a real just underwhelming nothing match. And it was actually the first match I ever watched that was on of Flair and WWF, because that was when I first got the network on my tablet, and I was just randomly watching it, and I was like, okay, it's Ric Flair, but now he's gone. First time watching it.
It's a hello and a goodbye all in one for your
But yeah, I fucking love this
viewing of
match,
Flair's
and Macho and his fucking million bloody outfits and whatnot from that guy in the 70s who made the Jimi Hendrix and some of the Hogan and Macho outfits. There's a documentary about that guy, but if you're in America, you can watch it. I can't watch it over here. Fucking shooting news. I really love this match, and watching it again this week, I was like, before I watched it, I was like, well, the Bret Hart and retirement Roddy match was clearly my favorite from '88, because I've got that match on my best of Bret Hart and best of Piper DVDs. So I've seen it at least a couple of times before watching it. But watching the full Mania 8 again this week, which is the second time of me watching it in full, I was like, I don't know if this is a tie, if this is my favorite match, or at least a tie with the other one, because it's damn good.
so good. It's so good. And I know what I was criticizing, and we were both criticizing the handling of Ric Flair overall in the WWF. But it is a testament to the man's own talents that even though he wasn't really given the very best run, he still made a real go of it and had a really memorable tenure there, even if it only was for a short amount of time. You can't really deny that he did make a massive impact.
Limousine riding, jet setting, high flying, son of a gun.
Definitely. Man. And once again, just to reiterate, retirement means nothing, because last year we saw Macho Man retired by the Ultimate Warrior, and here he is back again fighting for the WWF Championship.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm always in awe of Flair's conditioning, because, his heyday was kind of late 70s and mid 85 as far as the absolute peak of his career in terms of conditioning and matches and guys he's going up against and touring around on the NWA and Dusty Rhodes and all that sort of thing. And not to take away from anything he's done since, because he then went on to do 20 more fucking years when most people are retired. He did his WCW era run. He did his WWF, Royal Rumble, Macho Man matches. Went back to WCW, did more stuff despite being marginalized a lot in the whole NWO era. Post 2000, had some fucking awesome matches with Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, who were like honored to even be working with him, where he's like 50 plus years old, but he still brought the fucking game to town. Like, it's just goddamn legend, and his conditioning's just through the roof, even as an older fella. And his podcast is well worth listening to as well.
Yeah, very entertaining. And it's weird with Flair. I always felt like when I was young watching him, he always seemed like, oh, well, it's this old guy, Ric Flair. I just always
The
had in my
old guy.
head he's like an old guy. He just looked old
But
to
this
me.
old guy
But
could like run around the block 5 times before you get
yeah,
up for breakfast.
but it's crazy because when you watch the stuff back now as an adult, and you're just like, yeah, he's in such good condition. He's in great
Yeah,
shape.
he's in
He
like
doesn't really look
40s
old
going
at
to
all.
50s, and he beats the hell out of me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh man, I could only dream to be of like anywhere even near the level of physical fitness of like
Yeah.
50-something-year-old Ric Flair or whatever, you know, just
Hit the Stairmaster, man. Get on that Stairmaster.
yeah.
Fall
Go
back
into
on style.
go into the gym and just start doing knife edge chops on people.
I wish there was someone there. Like, I guess you'd use like one of those rubber dummy things. I wish there's someone there that's chopped the fuck out of. I'll go knife hand, ridge hand, palm heel.
Chop.
Yeah, like what else to go? I mean, oh Jesus, it was literally okay. What are we in 2024? Yeah, it was literally like 20 years ago. I used to go to jiu-jitsu in the city at Yandu martial arts. I'd always just go in and to start with, I would do like just rolling, or I mean, wrestling term bumps. You just roll around and bump yourself on the floor, but then forwards, backwards, sideways, and then I'd go up to the boxing bag, but it was like a punch kick bag, so it was like I'm 6 foot tall. The bag was about 7 foot tall, so I'd punch, kick, punch, kick. I'd just do that for 2 or 3 minutes, like a boxing round, like until you just absolutely gassed out. When I was completely gassed out, I'd go back to rolling and bumping on the floor and rolling around, and I'd do that for like 30 to 60 minutes before we started a class. That was my warm up. I used to love doing.
You were hardcore, Johnny.
Yeah, I used to go in there like 3 times a week for like 3 years. And so I love seeing like good bumps and wrestling and that. And you're watching and it's like they do a big high spot or a bump. You watch for like the tips of the toes come down, or they do what we used to call backwards flat. You slap your hands down, protect your spine, your neck, your head, and all that shit. But fuck me, man. I love this match. I really love this match. I think I love it more now than when I was watching it 6 months ago, because you got all the outfits, all the style, the charisma, the bumps, the hits, the drama leading up to it with the all this Macho Man's Mrs. Business, which is good fun. And they kind of riffed on this later on in WCW with the whole DDP angle, where she became the bad girl and she was in like the black kind of leather and fetish looking outfits and shit.
Blood gushing.
Oh yeah,
of course. We
No,
get the
Crimson
Liz
Juice.
running, of course, as well. Liz getting very physical. Did you notice this? One of the men in suits running out trying to stop Liz is actually a young Shane McMahon.
I was wondering when I was watching it, I was going, is that Shane McMahon with the hair and he's always slightly out of focus. And each time I was trying to get a still shot to figure out if it was him or not, because I saw all the usual goons and I went, is that Shane McMahon? I thought it was him, so I'm glad you mentioned it.
Sure is. And Liz, of course, as always, is just looking fantastic here on this show.
Oh yeah.
She is just,
I think it's one of her best outfits.
Oh yeah. Oh, Liz is just pure class. Like, she's absolutely brilliant.
It feels like the American equivalent of like a Princess Di or that sort of thing, which is just very, very classy but understated.
Yeah. So good. And just really, like we mentioned it now in so many shows, she just really suited her role. Like, she just could pull off that whole damsel in distress thing so well.
Yes.
But even here, it's nice to see her get a bit of comeuppance on Flair and, you know, give her husband a helping hand to see off a mutual adversary and someone who'd, like we said earlier, tried to ruin her reputation and make her out to be a total slag. But we all knew in our hearts that Liz would never do that to Randy.
A classy lady.
She's a classy lady. Heart of gold. She's no slag.
Take that, Flair, for the gold, because Liz has the heart of gold, which trumps that. But yeah, awesome match.
We see that lady there with the sign, holding the Elizabeth sign. Like, and I mentioned to you before we
First lady
started That's the lady. She's like in the crowd where she's got a blue and white kind of body dress, and she's holding up that
Polka dot.
sign about Liz and Macho. Liz is the first lady of the WWF. That's what it says in her sign. But it's the same lady, or one of the same ladies that we saw last year on the previous WrestleMania, who was crying in the audience when Macho Man and Liz reunited. So she must be like a Macho and Liz super fan.
Yeah. And she's near the front of the audience and that, and the camera really focuses on her.
Probably find out like that she's like Liz's cousin or something like that. She just got to go to the shows 2 years in a row.
Yeah, you do
Some
wonder
random
sometimes
family.
whether it's just a fan or some kind of audience part. You never really know. It's part of the
And it's
part of the
it's
mystery
one of
and
those
the story.
things. I don't think I would have even noticed her if it hadn't been for the fact that I watched 7 and 8 back to back, and then I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's that lady
Well,
again."
it
You
did
just
kind of
noticed.
zoom in, and I'm like, well, that lady's got the real like freckles on the face sort of business, and they're kind of hovering on her for an extended period of time. She looks quite familiar by the time we've seen her again 2 years in a row.
Of course, we get footage of the hilarious press conference. I love the way it looks like it's in a little prefab shed. Tiny.
And like, why
I
are
think they got-
Macho and Hogan next to each other if not even in a match together?
It's so great. And look at you've got Sid, Macho, and Hogan all squashed together like in this
squished
tiny
together.
table.
It's a squash match. Squash match. They're squashed in.
But it's great. It's a great moment because they're announcing who's going to be in the title picture, and Sid stands up, thinking it's his name that's going to be called, but then it's not. So he gets all hick and hot and bothered about the whole situation. But we've been seeing this feud now between Hogan and Sid brewing for a while. Sid eliminated Hogan from the Royal Rumble, and then Hogan, who is an underhanded, dirty dog, eliminated Sid illegally. He pulled him out of the ring. It's a fact that sometimes overlooked that Sid actually had a genuine good reason for not liking Hogan in storyline because he fucking illegally eliminated him from the Rumble. So,
Yeah, I remember
that's
that.
a good enough reason for me.
On my DVD set where I watched that a couple of times.
It's funny as well because when they replay the footage in the highlight and recap videos of Sid eliminating Hogan, they actually have to dub boos over it because at the time the audience actually cheered when Sid eliminated Hogan. They were happy that Hogan got dumped by Sid.
It's good fun, the Royal Rumble, because it's just like who's who of in the wrestling of the year and who cheats and who gets out. But nothing beats, man, when a couple of years in a row in the late 90s, Stone Cold wins it, and several times he got eliminated and went, fuck, I'm climbing back in and thrown by the fuckers out. It just got back in. And even Jay was like, he was being eliminated. He got back in. It was like, so somebody call the referee. Like, there's no referee. It's the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, somebody use instant replay to apprehend this cheating and put a stop to it. These cheaters. I love that we also get the highlight of Sid on the barber shop and absolutely battering Beefcake.
He just goes ape shit. He picks up the chair and smashes the window. It reminds me of old Piper smashing what's his face with the coconut and that, and the old, like Piper's Pit sort of thing. But no, it's the Brutus Barber Beefcake, old trigger favorite, the barber shop set instead of Piper's Pit, and he's just smashing the shit out of that. Smashes the old sugar glass windows because it shatters in a very particular way, and then he just starts shoving over the set, and I'm like, and he's just a big. It's just selling it. He's just a big, strong, angry man. I'm like, I'm sorry, but I could have pushed that set over. It's a very small set.
Yeah, this like light cardboard and plywood set.
Yeah. But the audience is eating it up.
Oh yeah, they're loving it. They're absolutely loving it.
And I love his smile up in the top right there with Beefcake, where he's just like smiling and like, we're good buddies. And like, by the way, smash, just trash and everything.
Yeah, I have to say, I know I mentioned to you before we went on air, but like I love Sid. I have a lot of time for Sid. I know in sometimes in real life it's like he lived up to his Psycho Sid moniker, but I have to say he has a great look. If you were just to create a wrestler and give him the perfect look, then Sid is your man because he's so big and muscular. He's just a mountain of a man, and in my humble opinion, he actually looks more impressive than Hulk Hogan when you see them side by
Oh, for
side. He's another
sure, for
guy.
sure. I feel
He just
like
looks
he's
like
the
a
kind of.
monster.
I feel like he's the Brock before there was a Brock Lesnar. Like, I mean, Lesnar was an amateur wrestler. He's got the physique, the size, the power, yada yada yada. Charisma, not so much, but obviously went on, became a UFC guy as well. And Sid feels like that kind of guy in this era where he doesn't have the athleticism of a Brock Lesnar as far as actual athletics, but he still sells big time. He sells big time the story, the drama, being a big, powerful dude, and he fits in with the old Vince McMahon big man fetish from Andre to Sid to Big Show and Lesnar and whatnot.
Yeah, he's very intense. He always cuts really intense promos. He's always gritting his
Yeah,
teeth.
yeah,
Like,
I love his
I am
promos.
the man. I am the man who rules the world. You know, just real
Yeah,
gritty,
it's,
angry promos.
and he has very luscious locks, luscious Loxley. I mean, whether Beefcake or Sid Vicious, who has the most beautiful hair? I don't know. Only Phil Treasures for Trigger would really know.
Well, I bet
Beefcake
Hulk Hogan was jealous of Sid. He's a few inches taller. He's got a better head
Yep.
of hair. His arms are
Yep.
bigger. I bet Hogan just hated him.
Probably. Yeah,
So
not until the era of like Brock Lesnar and Batista, where we see a guy who was this big, this tall, and this fucking pumped up.
Yeah, like just these man mountains of muscle. But we got a quick match here between the Tonka and Rick the Model Martel.
I will ask you a
It's
question, and it's quite
yes.
it's quite a serious question. Just a little sidebar from all the shenanigans. But Rick Martel, is he really a model?
Yes, he is the model.
Thank you. We need to confirm that.
If you're ever in any doubt as to whether he is a model or not, be sure to read the massive badge he wears on his ring jacket declaring this. Yes, I am a model. But Rick, he's fed to Tatanka here in a relatively quick match. This is during the long Tatanka undefeated streak, and this was like a proper undefeated streak they've had going since Tatanka has debuted in earlier in the year, and he's battling his way through the mid card, picking up wins and not being defeated himself. He seems to be on the rise and on a trajectory that's going to take him far, but we'll see in a couple of years how far that actually gets him. But for the moment, he's enjoying his undefeated streak and making the most of it. And I have to say, as a youngster, I did enjoy the Tonka character. I was always fascinated by Native Americans, and I just thought the whole get up with the tomahawk and the whole war dance thing.
Yeah.
I actually did enjoy it as a kid, even if you look at it now and you kind of think, oh, that's maybe a little bit silly and possibly a bit racist when you see some of the storylines and angles they're going to put him in later on. But at this time, definitely, I was a Tatanka fan.
Yeah, it's a very brief match, and like the model version of Rick Martel didn't much care for. The Tonka as a character didn't much care for. But I will say both very athletic, good athletes, put on a good show, even if it's an abbreviated version here. Tatanka had a really good run through Raw in that period you just mentioned. And both are just like very athletic and like very, the characters don't get over that much in the promos, whereas what they do on screen is fairly impressive, even when it's like just a kind of short version here.
Yeah, it's short and sweet and does what it's supposed to do.
Yeah. And
Nice
as we
little
move on,
backstage interview here with Money Incorporated.
yeah, we made some $1 million, dollar bills, yo.
Money, money, money. Great shot here.
That's Jimmy Hart.
Jimmy is, yeah. He's looking great.
Yeah, I love his
He
outfit, man,
just,
and Mania
oh,
8
it's so
with all
good.
the colors and all the teams he has on the back of his jacket. There's about 3 or 4 different tag teams and solo stars on that jacket. And there's, I just noticed there's like a miniature version of the piano key necktie right down the bottom of his tie.
Do you think at this point in his career, Jimmy, he's trying to be more, sustainable to the environment, and he's thinking, instead of wearing a ring jacket for every match and for every character I'm associated with,
I'll just
I'm
get
going to
all
try
the
and put
guys
them
on
all.
one jacket.
Yeah.
Because in a year or two, I'm going to have to go over to WCW in the big exodus when, people are sort of going over there.
That's right. He'll be the real life manager.
Money.
Great entrance music. I do enjoy the antics of Money Inc. I can see why they would put them together as a heel tag team, especially at this time where they're starting to be a little bit thin on the tag team side of things. Like we've kind of moved away from the golden era of like the Hart Foundation and the Rockers and Demolition.
Yeah, they're definitely going more single stars and all that. So
yeah.
So you enjoy a bit of Money Incorporated, and I hope, Boba Hicks, you've paid your taxes.
I have, IRS. Do not worry. You've no need to audit me. I used to actually love later on Raw in the following year where they'll do those like IRS kind of promos where it'll be him actually in his office carrying out audits and he has like a secretary that's like typing and stuff. It's like,
I like when
they were
goes
good
on about the
tag team
taxes and the
champions.
audience just starts booing him because they want to hear about fucking taxes.
Yeah, it's a brilliant heel character or a brilliant idea for a heel character. Like what's one of the most hated things that people hate? Like they hate the Internal Revenue Service. They hate paying taxes. Let's make that a wrestling character. And it works, I think,
Everybody
for
loves
Mike
inland
Rotunda.
revenue. That's what I heard.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And like, IRS, he's not the most charismatic guy in the world, but he's paired with Ted DiBiase, who is really charismatic, so he can kind of carry the lion's share of the promo work.
Good contrast. You got the theme of the money and the taxes, and it's a little weird, but it works. And IRS, like as a character, you kind of go, oh, he's a bit of a bum, bit of a loser. But I mean, to his credit, that's the character he was playing, so he does it very well.
And the irony is in real life, IRS, Mike Rotunda, I think he was like a really accomplished amateur wrestler, a proper trained wrestler, it's just funny how you can go from that to being made wear suspenders and suit pants and pretend to be an accountant.
This is the era of Repo Man and Doink the Clown and all that sort of bullshit when WWF really just doubled down on super cartoonish characters to the detriment of some of the better wrestlers and guys in the company. And I mean, I love that $1 Million Man started off as a character that was debatably cartoonish, but he was very enjoyable. He was the ex-pro football guy, had the $1 Million gimmick, came in, did good technical matches, very entertaining, some of the all-time best fucking promos. And he was able to kind of weather the storm between the 80s wrestling to the 90s wrestling and still be the same guy. And it worked.
Good. Well, look, speaking of cartoonish characters, we do have the natural disasters as the opponents here for Money Inc.
Typhoon.
Yeah, we got one of those kind of non-finishes. We got a count-out finish. But you know what? This is really just a match that's here to kind of bring the crowd down a bit and get them ready for the kind of crescendo of the show. So it does what it's supposed to do. And there we see that lady again in the blue and white, the blue dress, the white dots. She's definitely that same lady
natural
from last
disasters.
year. Yeah. they rule. The natural disasters rule according to
They
that
do
lady's
rule,
sign.
and I do like his sign, which is very small compared to some of the giant ones, but they do kind of pause and zoom in on it. And I love these little moments here, like IRS is getting pulled up by the tie like this. Is very comical. We see Jimmy Hart in his WrestleMania jacket with the little, I don't know what that thing is, some kind of R2D2 shit on the back of his jacket. I don't know what the hell it is. Earthquake bouncing up and down. Natural disasters. Boba Hicks, a little snake man goes in the corner because there's no S on that natural
Slithering
disaster.
away there.
I love the little moments in this match because it's a shorter match. It's again, it's not quite a squash match, but it's fairly abbreviated. But you've got great individual talents in each of the guys in it, and that I all individually love. And it's just a good bit of fun. But if it was a DJ set, we've been up there, we've gone Chemical Brothers or Junkie XL, we've gone up there, and we've taken our ecstasy. Now we're going to come back down for a bit and just kind of chill out before the next match happens. And the look on Earthquake's match at the end when he gets a timeout and DiBiase and his partner just like, oh, we're just going to fuck off and get out of here because we want to keep our belts. And he's like, no, what happened? Oh. Look on his face is so good. It's just really sells it.
Yeah, he's distraught, totally distraught.
Yeah. I know I do genuinely like Earthquake, man. Like I know really I enjoy his matches and his big sumo physique, and I'm like, and his control and just like Andre, just the not hurting or killing people is quite impressive.
Yeah, it's crazy, like that people that big and do the things that they do. It's just so unnatural almost to see somebody that size move around the way that they can. It's unbelievable, very impressive. And here we got another blink and you'd miss it match to give Owen Hart a quick
the
win
shortest
over
running
Skinner.
time in the whole event.
Oh yeah, it's over before you can even think about it.
I had to replay it to go, what happened? What happened? I needed the instant replay on this one.
Usually when you hear me kind of like praise wrestlers or praise their characters, I'm always like, oh, well, the first version was the best. I actually am not that big a fan of this version of Owen Hart. I much prefer when he becomes an actual proper Hart brother with Brett and wearing the pink and black.
Yeah, for sure.
All that stuff.
Like, I got my best of DVDs of Hart, well, Blu-ray for Hart as well, and then best of Owen, 2 or 3 discs, and I don't know, the best of's kind of like sort of mid to late 90s as far as what they chuck on there, but when he's in the Hart family and he's got the old Andre style double strap singlet thing with the pink and black like Bret Hart, and not that they didn't do good matches before that, yes, absolutely did, but you know, he was I love Owen all day, but he was a jobber for a number of years and just doing whatever. And when they paired him up with Coco Beware, some of those matches are fun, but then when that ended, and now he's by himself, but he's still wearing that outfit, and he's the Rocket, and then he's the Blue Blazer, and then we don't know what we're doing with him, but he's one of our best technical performers who goes on to some really great matches in the later 90s and for his untimely demise. It's a weird period as far as what's happening with Owen Hart.
But it's all going to be brighter days ahead, shall we say, because we won't see him when we review WrestleMania 9, but by the time we get to WrestleMania 10, he has fully transitioned from the rookie jabroni to the full-time Hart brother heel, and you know, he's going to be going up against Bret Hart at WrestleMania 10, and it's going to be one of the best matches we're ever going to review. Brother versus brother.
He absolutely put in the hard yards as far as the actual just practice for practical wrestling, putting the years and the practice in for actually learning his craft, but then to be a success in show wrestling as opposed to an actual properly sanctioned sport with a non-predetermined result. you know, and show wrestling, you've got to have some sort of charisma or on mic ability, or have a manager who's going to do that for you. You got to have some sort of technical ability, and you know, you got to have a combination of things going on. And I think Owen Hart had a lot of those things, and you know, if he had a bit more on mic time or other stuff, maybe it would have blown up a bit earlier. And it still breaks my heart to this day, where either the horrible fucking accident that should have never fucking happened because of shortcuts and bullshit, either in my mind, my alternate reality, either should have lived and gone on to a good success and more matches, or he should have retired voluntarily to be away with his family and whatnot.
Yeah. Obviously, either scenario is preferable to what actually happened. And I know we mentioned it before, I think, because on WrestleMania 6, he was doing the blue blazer gimmick, wrestling perfect. And we did say at the time, like, there's always going to be a lot of what ifs when it comes to Owen Hart. Like,
yeah,
it really is just tragic how that whole situation unfolded. But
and it's not
we'll
like
get there
a lot
eventually.
of other. It's not like a lot of other wrestling tragedies, which are very much by the book, where it's on the road and you're addicted to fucking painkillers and other shit so you can perform and go on. And if it's the 80s, you're on cocaine, and if it's the 90s, you might be on fucking oxy painkillers or whatever. Owen Hart, not a drug addict, not a boozer, good guy, all around good person. Everyone ever fucking met him, speaks the goddamn world of him. Loved a rib, but his ribs were fairly clean. They weren't like nasty or vindictive. They were just like good fun and all that. So breaks my fucking heart to think about Owen Hart.
Yeah. Oh, look, we'll remember the good times, and we do still have a lot of good times ahead of us when it comes to Owen Hart on these shows.
Yes.
So we will get to talk about him more and load him with the praise that he deserves.
Damn right. That's what we'll do. But come on up here. We've got a bit of some more promo action before some old Sid before we get into the final.
I need
final
to take
match.
a shit real bad.
It's very, very intense. We see a lot of his teeth and whatnot. And
always gritting his teeth. He must have grinded his teeth away over the years, per se.
Grinded his teeth away. But yeah, he did leave us a special little message, actually. Hang on, I'll see if I can play the right thing. If I play the wrong thing, I'll stop and I'll play the right thing. So let's see what happens. No, that's the ad break. No, ignore that. Ignore that. That was the wrong thing. Scroll down. Hang on. Here we go. Go back to here. Oh, here we go. This is
what you can't see, Hogan, is the broccoli between my teeth. I didn't floss, and I'm going to eat you whole and spit out your bones and outmatch at WrestleMania 8. You lousy, no-good mother ducker. Hogan, after I grind your bones to make my bread, am coming after Mark Lennon and Johnny Sorensen. Those Boba Joe losers ain't nothing. Don't ever make fun of my teeth again, or I'll murder you in your sleep, you sloppy sacks of shit.
So watch out for Hogan, who's apparently a mother ducker. It's a very term of the time.
Yeah. Don't mess with Sid, man. He'll retire you if you're not careful.
He'll retire you full time. Or part time. Whatever your preference, he'll retire you good. But before we get to the match, there was a little candid 60-minute style interview with Vince McMahon and Hulk Hogan, and it's just very, very earnest, and they're sitting in those little wooden director's chairs for whatever reason.
Imagine how more favorably we think of Hulk Hogan if this was actually like a genuine deal and he really did just, he really did just leave after the match. But no, it's not to be, even though he does act like this is it. This could be my last one, brother. I don't know if I'm going to survive this encounter with Sid. It's
and
like you said,
if you'd
I'd
watched
say
it at
that
the
60-minute
time,
style.
you might think it was genuine, but like anyone that's watched it 10 or 20 years past and knows the sort of legacy of Hulk Hogan's bizarre lies and weird stuff. If you watch it now, it's like watching a soap opera. It's acted all the way, and he's like, "By the way, brother, I'm here for the Boba Joe show, and you should watch the show if you don't know where I gotta go." It's a very, very farcical interview when you watch it, and especially when you know. I'm not going to touch on the last 6 months of Vince McMahon and all his allegations and nonsense, but if you look at the previous 30 years of Vince McMahon allegations and nonsense, there's a metric shit ton of fuck as far as bad skeletons in his closet. So the way anytime he sits down on camera for one of these promos or any of the subsequent WWE or any documentaries, is like, yeah, did this and Mr. T did that, Vince and Hogan, and yeah, it's a complete fabrication. It's a complete actor performance. It has nothing to do with reality.
Yeah, and you know they're making
credit.
stuff.
He's actually a fucking good actor. I will give him that.
Oh
he's
yeah,
a
he
fucking
is. He
asshole,
is.
but he's a good actor.
But like even the way they have all this set up in the background with the highlights of like pictures of Hogan and Andre and the Mega Powers and all this stuff, like it's such a
giant
career retrospective. They're just trying to like make it out like this really could be the last time you're going to see him, and let's celebrate this wonderful career he's had.
That's so ironic because I mean he did semi-retire in Hollywood and whatnot, but then just like how close is this to when he went off to WCW and NWO and all that? It's like, oh yeah, it's my last match ever. And like, here's another decade of fucking matches.
Oh yeah, he'd keep going for a long time with good old Harry.
And like he's pretending to retire, whereas Macho Man was forced into retirement, and there was a commentary in '93 and '94, and he's like, "Fuck that, I'm out of here. I'm going to some WCW and doing some actual matches."
We got a few few variations of Sid here.
Oh, he started out as Sid Vicious, went on to be Psycho Sid, became Sid Ugly, then Sid Respectable, became his ultimate evolution as Sid Justice.
Imagine they went with his real name, Sid Udi.
Yep.
Not quite as
Pokemon's still evolution chart there for people who wonder what the hell that is. That's what happens when I drink a bunch of wine before the show. It's like put a Pokemon evolution chart in for a wrestler because Sid Respectable is my favorite one from old Ugly Kid Mo and Kid Gorgeous and whatever in The Simpsons. He was a boxer.
No, it's actual science.
It's actual science. That's true.
So here we have Harvey Whippleman come out. He's the manager of Sid, and he's about.
You got to tell me about this Whippleman guy because he goes back to Memphis and other stuff as a manager and whatnot. But what's his history? What the hell's going on with this guy?
So really, with Harvey, he actually is here in the WWF because of Sid. Sid actually got him the gig here as his manager. Apart from being the kind of on-screen mouthpiece for Sid, Harvey Whippleman actually kind of also acted as Sid's kind of keeper almost. He would kind of drive him around, drive him to shows, carry his bags. He was like almost like a real life assistant to Sid a lot of the time. But what we're kind of seeing him now is his kind of early form in the WWF. But what's essentially going to happen is shortly after this match, within a few weeks actually, Sid's going to be gone. He's out the door. He fails a drug test and disagrees with the results of the failed drug test.
Those drug tests.
He says adios. But Harvey Whippleman sticks around, and they actually will use Harvey Whippleman as a manager now going into the 90s for multiple guys. So I suppose Kamala would be one of his most kind of well-known guys that he managed, and he will go on to feud with the Undertaker, with Kamala going up against the Undertaker, and
Yeah, I remember those
basically what
matches.
happens there, Undertaker, he's going to dispatch of Kamala, so Harvey's going to go and find himself a new giant to manage, and that giant is going to turn out to be Giant Gonzalez, who we're going to see at WrestleMania 9 having an absolutely terrible match with The Undertaker. But yeah, that was a kind of a brief little rundown of Harvey Whippleman in the WWF. But we will, I'm sure, be talking about him again in more detail when we get to WrestleMania 9.
Thank you for that, because I'm not familiar with him, and I can see he's not a manager guy, and I don't know who he is behind the scenes, a real life guy, and all that. Everyone's got their own story, their own little fucking scenario. Their business with the Kamala dude. Like I didn't really care for his matches so much, and they're kind of xenophobic, borderline racist, as a lot of the stuff of the era is in the early mid-90s. But the dude who was Kamala, there's some really cool interviews online. He's no longer with us, unfortunately. He had all kinds of horrible degenerative disease and whatnot. But towards the end of his life, did some really good podcasts and interviews on various things. Definitely worth looking up on YouTube. By all accounts, are just all around awesome human being that people loved.
Yeah, definitely. I'll tell you, one thing I love about this match is this when Hogan comes out to Real American, Sid tries to attack him at the beginning of the match.
Away.
Hogan just throws him out of the ring, but the whole time this is happening, the Real American team never stops playing. So we get to see the two guys having their scuffle, and it just keeps playing. And then once he throws Sid out of the ring, then he starts doing all the poses and it's like couldn't have his entrance interrupted. Had to go through with the entrance no matter what happened.
Yeah, it is very noticeable how the music, like, they smack each other around and the music keeps playing.
And look, obviously, for me anyway, obviously this match comes nowhere near as being as good a quality match as the Savage and Flair match, but it is still a fun spectacle to see these two giant guys go head to head, even if it is your kind of typical Hulk Hogan Flair
thing.
And like I said earlier, like if you were going to create a wrestler on looks alone, like Sid is the perfect specimen. He's just so big and like he's so imposing and intimidating looking. It's like he's carved out of granite. He's so impressive, and even to be able to just like whip Hogan up in the air to bring him down with the power bomb, like he's so powerful, he's so strong. He really is. He's a scary guy, Psycho Sid, and I could see how the little Hulkamaniacs in attendance at the time, I'm sure, were pretty worried that their guy was going to get killed by Sid.
Is it good look, good physique? Definitely in that McMahon, big man fetish style. He's up there with, you got Sid, you got Kane, you've got Brock Lesnar. He's up there in that sort of category as just like a world ender destroyer, Ragnarok sort of guy you're going to throw up against whoever your champion is, whether it's Hogan or Warrior or whoever. You need a bigger, better guy to come along and just ruin their day.
And possibly in real life ruin people's days as well, depending on what type of mood he's in. Because Sid, by all accounts, he could be kind of difficult to work with sometimes, depending on what humor he was in. And he was known to get angry very easily. And it led to him literally just walking out of the company a few weeks after this. He'd do the same in WCW. He was always bouncing between the big promotions because he was either fired or he was just quitting and walking out, or he was known as a big kind of softball fan. So we used to always try and take time off to go to softball games and play softball. This also pissed off people he was working for, that he just try and take time off in the middle of your wrestling schedule. So yeah, Sid, he was quite the character both in front of the camera and behind the camera, by all accounts.
That's interesting. Like I was talking yesterday, like basically 24 hours ago, with our good old toy collector mate Bjorn Jorgensen about some WCW stuff from like the 80s and 90s, and the roster there just kind of jumps around. You get into 1990, 91 through 95. the roster's all over the place because it's kind of like WCW in this era was like anytime when someone lost a job somewhere else in a smaller territory promotion, they're like, well, there's guaranteed money and Ted Turner. I'll go over there and get some good money. And whether they use you or not, you get a few bucks. And, you know, Sid's one of those guys who turns up there. But I feel like Sid, along with guys like Kevin Nash, was getting kind of a nice push here in this time. And then it kind of gets cut short. And you're like, well, I wanted to see where that storyline was really going to go. And then it didn't happen. And then, well, we went somewhere else because you had families to feed and bills to pay and whatnot.
And, you know, as we mentioned earlier briefly, we are about to, you know, enter the whole phase of the whole steroid scandal and trial and all that stuff. And it's beginning to cause chaos. And, like, you know, a lot of the guys we see on this show, we will not be seeing again for a long time because for whatever various reasons, they're either failing drug tests or they're trying to leave before they actually can be drug tested. So they'll just quit voluntarily instead of, you know, suffering the shame of failing the drug test publicly or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's a
big
kind of clear out.
Looking back at reading wrestler biographies and Jim Cornette podcast and, you know, research on various matches and watching shit, I love the ultimate hypocrisy where Vince McMahon was always doing what was good for business, good for business. And it's like firing all these guys for being on steroids. Well, ironically, he was on fucking steroids himself. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. It's just bad comedy. Bad comedy, man.
Do as I say, not do as I do.
Yeah, but I get
One
it.
rule
I get
for
it.
me, another for me.
He was always about protecting his fucking business and this and that. And he was absolutely fucking merciless and cutthroat and like a carny or a fucking pirate. He would fuck over the top talent, whether it was Hogan or Macho or Bret Hart or Shawn. He was absolutely ruthless, absolutely fucking ruthless. And like, but as horrible as that is, you can go, well, he was committed to keeping the company going and keeping the money machine and the merchandise and the TV and all that shit going. But it's just, yeah.
Did you know, Johnny, that the finish to this match is botched?
It's a bit strange. There's a run-ins. Well, there's multiple run-ins, and then what's going on?
So, well, first of all, it should be said, one really notable happening in this match, because it's something you would rarely see. Sid actually kicks out of Hogan's leg drop, which is a big deal. But Sid was not supposed to kick out of that leg drop. There was a problem there. So what was supposed to happen was Hulk hits him with the leg drop. He goes for the pin. And then Papa Shango is supposed to run down to the ring and break up the pin, which will then cause the DQ finish. But what happens is Papa Shango misses his cue. He's late running out to the ring. So Sid has to kick out of the leg drop. He has no choice. He has to kick out of the leg drop. Otherwise, the match is just going to win with Hogan just pinning him normally, which is not supposed to be the finish. So in a panic, Harvey Whippleman jumps into the ring to attack Hogan. So that can cause the DQ finish. And then Papa Shango runs out late, starts helping Sid beat up Hogan. And then, of course, we get the ultimate return of the Ultimate Warrior, who comes legging it down to the ring. He's wearing this exact gear we see him in here in this action figure. It says the Ultimate Journey on his arse. If anybody wants to zoom in and read the Ultimate Warrior's arse, that's what it says, the Ultimate Journey. So Warrior runs into a massive pop. The crowd just go bananas at the sight of Warrior. He comes in.
Let's say the Ultimate Warrior's arse.
It's the Ultimate Warrior's arse, okay. The Ultimate Journey. The Ultimate Arse. Great Warrior figure. Great detail. But yeah, the audience, the crowd, they absolutely explode when this man legs it down and starts getting involved.
Sorry.
He starts he
All
starts
I've got is
beating
more.
up
All I've got in my
everybody.
Warriors ass is more than this, like more than this, like that 80s pop song.
Yeah,
And
you
then he
always
just
need
goes
some
like
type of
this.
inspirational message written on your arse. But
And I feel
yeah,
like he
Warrior
stole that
comes
from Rick
down.
Rude. Rick Rude was the guy who had all the stuff on his ass before Warrior was doing it, before it was cool.
Yes, I agree. He did nick that gimmick a little bit. But yeah, the crowd, they're delighted to see him. He comes down, he saves Hogan from a 2-on-1 beatdown by Papa Shango and Sid. So they see off the bad guys. And then we get some epic post-match posing with Hogan and Warrior, where they just flex the shit out of their juiced up
Yeah.
bodies in front of the audience who are
And it
just
seems to
lapping it
follow
all up.
on from the previous house shows where we had Warrior, Undertaker, Ric Flair, Sid Justice, all of those guys all mixing it up and tag teams and whatever.
And you know, it's like we mentioned earlier, like it's a pivotal point in the company's history and definitely in these WrestleManias, because this really is the end of an era. I mean, we see Hogan and Warrior here at the end doing the big pose and the crowd just eating it up. By next year, by next Mania, there's going to be no Warrior. He's going to be gone. Sid's
Yeah.
going to be gone. Like so many guys just walk out of the company that, like, you know, the only person we're going to be
Hogan
seeing back
dips
is
in and
Hogan.
out of his Hollywood stuff before he gets to WCW.
That's right. That's right. So it's really the golden age of the WrestleManias really end here, and it's kind of fitting in a way that they did manage to get a big crowd and a dome for this big spectacle. And I have to, like, you know, it feels like we've been a lot more positive talking about this Mania than we had maybe for the last couple of ones we reviewed, because it really was, even though there's a few throwaway matches, we do get the Undertaker and Jake match, we get that Bret and Piper match, we get Savage and Flair, and we get some good, even the throwaway matches are kind of fun, like we mentioned earlier, like that tag
Yeah.
team match is still good fun, and even for all the craziness and typical Hogan bullshit that happens in the main event, it's actually still a good fun main event, and it does send the crowd home happy to see Hogan and Warrior together at the end doing their thing to the tune of Real American, flexing those pecs.
And then the crowd just ate it up. And I feel like this Mania, more than others, see Mania 3, Andre Hogan, they're doing a lot of the like the strength versus strength and the very limited technical wrestling ability, but selling to the crowd. I feel like this one really pumps it up, and I'm getting it. I'm getting them like, well, they're not the most technical best wrestlers by any stretch of the imagination, but the crowd's loving it. The drama's going well. They're really selling it big time. So, I enjoyed the match on that level as far as the storytelling and the drama. So I think it works quite well.
It is, and it's, you know, it's the end of an era, and it's fitting to see these two guys standing side by side as all the pyro goes off the end of the show. It was like these two 80s megastars are now going to be,
I think they're
kind of winding
ascending
down
into
a bit.
the stratosphere.
Yeah, and you know, like Hogan, he loves the remain relevant and more in the public eye than Warrior. He's gonna be fired pretty soon after this. Warrior and British
Go
Bulldog
make some
are both,
independent comics that nobody bought.
oh yeah, he's gonna distribute. The WWF are gonna help him sell some of those in 1996 as part of the deal. But yeah, you know, like Warrior, Ultimate Warrior and British Bulldog, they both get caught later on this year buying prohibited steroid-like substances from a European
Oh
dealer,
yeah,
and
that was in
it
the
gets totally
documentary. I was watching it
fired.
on fucking Bulldog last night.
Yeah, some type of weird, I don't know, like human growth hormone or something they were getting from overseas. But
HGH. The old HGH in the UK. Okay, but it's not. So you caught.
this is it. This is our last time looking at the roided up bodies for a good few years. They will come back. But while the heat is on, while the feds are looking closely at Vince,
The feds.
we're about to see
Dirty
we're
old
about to see a
feds.
very big change. We're leaving the area. Just have to grab a quick hot dog from the concession stand.
Oh, you got to get that popcorn, man, while it's cold and disgusting.
But yeah, look, like I mentioned just a moment ago, we're saying goodbye to the roided up bodies. We're going to be seeing a smaller level, or a smaller size of main eventers going forward. We're going to enter into the era of the likes of Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels. We'll still have big guys like The Undertaker and Diesel and Yokozuna, but they're not steroid
Yeah.
guys. They're just big,
No, they're
tall,
naturally big
beefy
guys.
guys. Exactly. But this is it. The golden age really has ended, and we are beginning our journey into the new generation era. May God have mercy on our souls.
Well said, man.
I enjoyed it. I have to say, I really enjoyed looking back on this show. Great times. Elizabeth, the real first lady of the WWF.
That's right. Except no substitutes.
Rest in peace. Rest in peace, all the dead people on the show. There's plenty of them.
Yeah, it's a goddamn horror show if you want to stop and think about all that wrestling deaths and fatalities and whatnot. And I try not to think about this stuff. I just instead think about the best times of life and the highs rather than the lows, because it's very unfortunate. The more you look into pro wrestling right back through the decades, it's an industry of taking advantage of people and kind of fucking over human rights and other stuff and denying them medical care and other things. But that's not real. That's a whole different topic to what we're getting into here. But certainly, I don't know, it might be a topic down in the future. Talk about all the horrible shit behind the scenes.
Could be. And look, like you said, there's definitely enough of it. There's plenty of material to talk about. But for the meantime, we're just happy to relive the good times when we're reviewing these shows, and we'll tackle these issues as and when they appear.
Yeah, it's sort of outside the industry itself. It more goes into workers' rights and civil rights and insurance and medical care and stuff like that. It's sort of outside of anything you watch basically on a camera is the real issues, and it is uniquely American, because I do notice as a comic book fan and a wrestling fan, a lot of the same shit happened as far as not paying people properly and royalties and old Siegel and Schuster on Superman, and then on Batman, of course, with creators and whatnot not getting what they ought to be due and such, but it was a real thing of the time, of the decades, 40s, 50s, 60s. But by the time I get to the 80s, I'm sorry, but there's fucking unions and other stuff, and people like Jesse Ventura going, hey, you fucking monkeys, why don't we organize and actually get some basic human rights and fucking royalties and insurance and other shit? And people are like, no, fuck you, Jesse Ventura, get out of here. Okay, I'm fired. I'm out of here. See you, bye. I'm going to WCW like every other asshole does.
Yeah. No, I would definitely side with Jesse in that scenario.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and I feel like that led to his political thing where, went on to be a governor, and what's like Schwarzenegger did. I feel like that his values trumped his wrestling career, basically. He went on to be a pretty good human being. We don't need to think about all the alien UFO conspiracy shit, because what he did when he was in power as a governor, that was very, very humanistic and, taking care of people and basic shit.
Yeah, no, I have nothing but love and respect for Jesse the Body.
I do too. And some of his like bizarre conspiracy stuff is like quite entertaining to watch his interviews for entertainment. Just don't take it literally. Just think of it as a work.
Yes, exactly. You don't have to take this stuff as gospel.
WrestleMania 8, good bit of fun, well worth watching. We had at least 3 good highlight matches as opposed to the usual 1, possibly 2 in most of the Manias this year. But leading up to next week, I'm going to go spoiler alert territory. Guess what we're talking about next week, Punk?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This is a nice surprise. I'm looking forward to this, definitely. I've been
I was
looking
almost
for
going
an
to do
excuse
this
to
6
dust off
months
my
back,
buddy
and I
Harry.
was kind of saving it up, going. I rewatched it a couple of months ago, and I was like, "Oh man, we got to get into this." And I was listening to the theme music and watching it. And spoiler alert, that's 1 week from now. Punk, did he fire?
Can't wait.
Did Boba Hicks
We're
buy 5 Space Marines, or did he buy 6 Space Marines? I don't know. But the following week,
oh yeah,
he's back.
He's back. He's back to protect the innocents and uphold the law.
And he's got that blue, what do you call it? Spray painted sort of finish. He's not just silver anymore. He's got the blue tint, like Alien to Aliens.
That's right. He's entered the 90s and he's spruced up his image a bit.
That's right.
Oh, that's awesome. Two
Two
great movies to take us out of this cartoonish era of wrestling. We're going to get into the gritty streets and Dirty Harry and just see a badass cop do his job.
And we'll be back down the track with more Manias and more Starcades, and probably later this year some Summer Slams or maybe some Royal Rumbles, some other wrestling bullshit. We'll take a little break, do some movies, come back, do some wrestling. There'll definitely be more wrestling down the track.
Sorry, folks, if you don't like wrestling, but there is more of it out there.
Oh yeah, we'll be doing
maybe
it
too much
in a fucking day.
But yeah, it's
back.
There's too many things to
cover.
There is too much cool stuff out there.
Even in just the 80s and 90s, ignoring everything after that, there's still just too much cool stuff to cover.
We'll get there eventually. One show at a time. We're here for the slow burn. It's the long slog, but we'll get there.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I've been looking forward to doing RoboCop 2 for a while. Not the objectively best film of all fucking time, but I like it. I like it quite a bit.
Hey, look, it's fun. It's violent. What more can you ask for?
Yeah.
We got to see some nice stop motion.
Can I get to pump up my muscles? What I need to know is can I get some nuke? Can I get some nuke to pump up my muscles?
Well, there's a nuke for every mood.
Yeah, there's a nuke.
Every
boy in every town gets a nuke and turn around. But yeah, we'll love you and leave you, and we'll check you out next week. You want to say goodbye to all the wonderful folks out there?
Goodbye, Hulkamaniacs. Take care.
Catch you later, Pukemaniacs. That's the wrong one. Don't play that. That's a fucking Game Pro Edge tip. This is outro, not the fucking intro, Johnny.